Hi, this is Susan. I've been thinking I needed to show you my castle. This is one of my two castle room boxes. This one was the first one, and I have a bigger one than this. It's different shaped. And so I wanted to show you, I've had it covered up with this for ages and ages, and I just uncovered it, and look at this mess. So I want to show you what's in here that I've collected for it over the time, and I want to show you some other things, some product. So this was a medieval room box, and it was kind of in a contest. It was kind of like we submitted it, and then they chose what they wanted to do. This was for a SAM project, the Society of American Miniaturists, and it was kind of funny that we all voted, and it came down to exactly the same numbers for this and a schoolhouse, an old-fashioned schoolhouse made out of a cigar box. And so the odd thing is there was one person missing from the group, and when she got back, I don't know, she voted for the other thing, which was so strange because I would see her liking this, but she was president the next year. So I don't know how she chose it. But so anyway, I had made this, so I was happy I'd made mine. And so I just want to tell you about it because my ideas when I was presenting it was it could be a museum for a grand hall. And I want you to look at this, and I know it's full of crap right now, but I'm giving this to you because if you're not one of those people that likes vampires and horror movies and and werewolves and all that, I'm really limited on those. They have to be kind of comedic or something. I really like I like a thriller. I like to dive into a thriller and be held to the end and then still have to think about it and maybe watch it again, trying to figure it out and look things up. So that's my deal. So a castle is perfect. It's fitting for Halloween, but it's not too scary, and mine's not full of any horror. Well, it could be. I guess it could be a dungeon. But so anyway, it could be a grand hall. It could be the king's reception room. It could be a medieval kitchen, a formal bedroom, a lady's day room, a reading room, a chapel, or a dungeon. So these were things I came up with. And so in our idea, this other friend, she had done another version of a room box this size. And we split this insulation foam board that you get from like a Home Depot. And it comes in a big 4x8 sheet. So it's perfect if you're splitting it with someone or if you have more than one project, because this is great stuff. And it's even great for putting in the window in the wintertime. I've said I work in my friend's garage, and, to keep it from getting so cold in here, when the temperature's in freezing, I have a piece of it that I just stick in the window, and it keeps that cold on the glass, from really freezing me out here. And so what I used, this is the cutout window. Now, everything's going to fall over if I try to move this too much, but I'll show you I can show you once it's empty much better. But in talking about it, see this wall here. Okay, so this wall, when I first built this one, I used the pottery clay that comes in a big box. It's the least expensive of the clays, and it looked great. It's porous, it was perfect for, you can see this piece, it's perfect for, a good 1/8 of an inch or more, and for drawing your blocks. And I thought it was great. And then when it was drying, it started getting concave. So I've kind of hidden it with this design here. But I was like stressing. I was like, oh no, what do I do? Because I couldn't put anything on it because it would smash down my blocks, and I couldn't put it, surface face down to stop so anyway, I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that happening to you or what's your experience. I'd love for you to share with everybody because, they might like to do a castle. Because if you start now, you have 2 months, before the month of Halloween to add things into it. You can get it done. It's a good time. That may be why I've been having it on my mind to do it. So I'm going to talk about paper clay. And paper clay is not cheap, but it turns out better than this concave warpy stuff. So back to this, my idea was to have a trestle table in here. And if you see my notes, you can see I have a list of the things that you could make to go into your given whatever. I mean, this is how I presented it. Look at this list. So I don't know how I can share this list with you, but you would want to like have this list if you're going to make a castle, because then you wouldn't have to think so hard. You just have to make things. I mean, it goes from everything from museum, if you made it into a museum of a grand hall, to outside ideas. And see, this does need to be painted the dark, danky looking color, and then a bunch of vines growing on the sides of it, and then definitely the base will need to have some flooring, some kind of, rocky floor. So I don't know, I'll have to think on this list because I don't want to bore you with my huge list. Okay, so here is the paper clay option. Now you roll it out real thin, and you roll it out. This is a cardboard. We practiced on it one day. I'm not sure who did this. I don't remember. But we rolled it out. We glued it on. And then you use, maybe your needle tool or whatever craft tool that, whatever you have and use. And this would be like a good floor kind of, not a block, just all different shapes and random. Here's how nice it does for bricking, for an old building. It does a really nice bricking. And then here's, like, these were just rocks, and I've made many rocks out of the clay that I used on this just to get rid of it. I made a bunch of rocks around my dollhouse because, you can't go wrong with rocks. Like, you can't get them outside. Like, you have to make them. So anyway, it's really great, and I use it on the fireplace, and I'll show you the fireplace when we get further back in this mess. And so it's good to practice. You just roll it out, get your thickness. This thickness is about, 1/8 of an inch in places, about there. And you just glue it onto the cardboard and work on it, or go ahead and glue it onto your insulation board and work on it. But see, for this 16-ounce paper clay, it's $12.99. And I don't recall if this was from Hobby Lobby, which their sales have really gone down as far as, they used to have the coupon. They don't have that anymore in my area. They used to give you, 50 off, then they went to 40, and then it went to only certain items and only certain dollar amounts. So I don't know that this has ever been on sale there. And so you're getting 16 ounces. And so to do a fireplace and this 2 sides, you would need 2 of these at least. Now the inside, this part here, and the arch, and the insides, a mix. And I like to mix paint, glue, craft glue, and like joint compound or a spackle. You can always put cornstarch into your mix to make it, thicker. And the joint compound, you use in a house on your drywall, so it's great for this. And the spackles, which you fill holes with, so it works. And so I painted this on, and then I went and sanded over it. And you can see the block. Now you can see the difference in the block up there from the block using the pottery clay. That's much finer lines, and this is, more porous, and that may be why it looks like, I don't know if I rolled it with something. It's been, 15 years or something. So I just want to share this with you, and all the things that you might have in your stash and want to collect or might want to look for. And, you know, anything that comes out, you know, you can usually get it off of eBay, you know, down the road. You don't always have to buy it, you know, at the time it comes out. But right now, I noticed when I was in Hobby Lobby, they're putting out Christmas. So they've got all they don't do Halloween there. Michael's does huge Halloween, but they do all their fall stuff already. It's already out. So you want to go and look in the jewelry department and start collecting. You know, the best one is that fairy tale line of jewelry that is just, I mean, since they came out with that, it's just awesome for castles. Okay, let's start out with making like your candles. One great way is, this was some really yellowed looking glue stick, the small size, and so I just cut them randomly, and you can stick like wire or whatever you want in here. I blackened it, so I don't know what it was to begin with, but you can put wire or don't know what it is. Anyway, then after I glued them together to get the 3 pieces, and then you can stick them together or with hot glue or with whatever. And so then I just dripped the third stick, you know, or that I just dripped it over it. And Temu has different colors, and it also has black if you want to make black candles. So these are great, you know, to put on a stand when they are, like, put them on the fireplace or put them on a desk or whatever. But be careful about, you know, your finish. You don't want to mess up your wood finish on your miniatures, unless you do want to mess it up because you want it to be old world and look used. Okay, so I don't even know where to start. There's so much stuff here. Okay, so let's start with this. This is the one thing I know I'm going to make, and I'll share with you, is this came out of American Miniaturist magazine, I guess, May 12th, 2012. I believe it's so tiny, 2012. And it's, let's see, Let's Get Steampunked. The article is Erica Van Horn's. And can you see her name? If you want to look her up, you could probably Google her and find this. But these books are great. They have all kinds of little steampunky kind of doodads, which I got those at Hobby Lobby. You can get them off Temu. You can get them off of anywhere. And this is what I want to make. They're called oriaries. If you want to look that word up, oriaries. Maybe you know what that is. But it's a version of a telescope, I assume, but every one of these is different. They're awesome. Every one is different. So let me see if I can get you a screenshot. There you go. Every one of these is different. Very cool. So that's what I do want to make that. And so let's just look at everything. Okay, so this came from Dollar Tree, and it just gives you some texture if you wanted to add that in. And I gotta find something to throw all this into. Okay, here we go. And so you know about the bottles. Everybody knows about the bottles. And they come in different colors. And this is that fairy tale line that I say, you know, is such a great line. It's by Bead Treasures. And I don't know if they still have this 3-bottle group, but they have other bottles. But I got my colored bottles at Hobby Lobby. But Temu also has colored bottles and different shapes. So you get different shapes. But I wanted to show you the clear ones, because we're all doing, you know, these shadow boxes now with the all the bottles, and I have one of those kind of things that I'll show you next, down the road, beginning of August. I'll show you mine. But this, let me just throw them out here for you to look at them. I got a whole group of off of Temu, and I wanted to show you sizes because like that's real small, and I think that's a good size. It's got little, this is fairy tale line, and it's got little scrolls in it, really cute. They have such good things. Okay, these, are a little bit bigger, and then by the time you get these great shapes, this came off of Temu, they're kind of Barbie size, but, doesn't matter so much if you're doing the shadow or a shelf, curiosity shelf. But there's all kinds. Now there's 3 or 4 different ones that are, the taller. So you could do a grouping of those. And you can get the Temu, you can get 50 of them for dirt cheap off of Temu. So these look kind of test tubey. Interesting shapes. Very interesting shapes. So a little bit fatter one. And the round. And by the time you put colors in these, they're not going to be clear anymore. And more test tubey or chemistry looking. And rounded like a vase. And then this one. And this one seems like it needs to be hung or something. Like you could lay it down. I've seen it with, a rose kind of thing in it. But you could like hang it with some string, hang it up. But anyway, those are the clear ones. And it's easier to find the clear than it is, finding so here's, this was a kit that a friend made me. If you've seen me, with that basketball paper, she made a topography case kit. And I haven't made it yet. But she did it with this football paper. And it's literally just a little canister, a long canister that with a lid, like a case. But so I'm gonna have to make that for y'all. Her name is Wilhelmina, and so I had all these notes in here of things to make, but I'll have to make that because that's kind of old world looking, cute. And gosh, I've just got bags after bags. I've just collected things through the time. Now, I didn't know I had any. These? I didn't know I had any of these. They're all different. Okay. So I'm looking at this stuff for, I haven't looked through it in years. It's just been sitting there covered up. So I still haven't found my fairies, though. I don't know where my box of fairies went. So there are 3 different kinds. These must be Limax. Like Limax has Halloween stuff, and it's probably as popular, or if not more, than the Christmas Village. But these are 3 different designs, which would be cute in a curiosity shelf cabinet. So you want to look for right now, I'm sure they've got it out at Michael's. They carry it. So the other thing I noticed, this little plastic, I saw this sticking in there, and I was like, I wish I had more than one of those. But that would be kind of cute. Now, I'll show you how I came up with this lion face. But wouldn't that be kind of cute? And then you could incorporate it into it and turn it the same color. It doesn't have to stay green. Or you could put it, if you had 2 of them. If anybody knows where this came from, please say so. I have no idea where I got it along the way. But you could put it up there as decor. And now I think I saw this little box on Temu. It's just kind of leather, brown leather. Looks like the glue isn't holding real well, so you may have to re-glue it. Yeah. Before you glue it, you might want to put like some brown ink pen in there to, cover the edges. And then if you have this, looks like it just kind of wants to pull away. But that's what this synthetic stuff does. But cute. And I did see this on Temu. This may have come from Temu, but I think I've had it longer than that. But that's good. You can put all kinds of, things into it. Now, again, I'm going to show you a lot of fairy tale because it's just so perfect for castles. And here you've got 2 different kinds of wands. And usually these are, going to be 50 off. They rotate. They mark it up to mark it down and then put it on sale and rotate it. And so those will be rotated on sale. So, and they have a website too. So you can look for that. Now somewhere I made something the other day out of these acorn caps. I made mortar and pestle. Is that what it's called? Bowl with the thing you break up the herbs and stuff with. And that you've got to have in your castle or your wizard room or up on your shelf. And it's perfect to use these acorn caps on that. Or just make it out of clay. Just mix up some clay so it looks kind of grainy and gritty and kind of granite-like or something. So this is an old Walmart clearance. Like, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the prettiest? Makes me think of a friend. Okay, so I have lots of these kind of things that I've saved through the years. And I'm sure you do too. Now here's some, wow, these are neat. These are old Michaels, I think, if I recall. Like you could put the Queen's jewels in here. Or Milady's jewels. This was real pretty. And I do seem to think that was from Michael's. I think they had a lot of pewter silver one year, and I was kind of into it. Oops. Uh-oh. I'll never see that again. Whatever I dropped. So, you can make picture frame as well. This one's round. So, look in the jewelry. Gosh, I wonder what I dropped. Wow. Whenever I look for something, I never find it that time. Then I go looking for something else on the floor. This is on the floor. And then I find 3 things that I've dropped, previously, but I never find it at the time I drop it, so I always have to remake it. So, I don't even know. It doesn't even roll. I don't know what it is. It just bounces away. Okay, so these were in the Charm Me section. Again, Hobby Lobby. And these are just boxes. So, boxes are fun. They open up. They're little charm boxes. And this one, again, fairy tale. If you don't have this, you just got to look it up on their site, on Hobby Lobby's site. Look up all the fairy tale, because they just keep adding new. They can take it out, they put it on clearance, and then they add new. That line has been there for quite a while now. 10 years maybe, I don't know. So it's got a magnet and it's got a little key. So boxes are great. And they even had these claws at one time. Those are pretty cool. You could make those, I guess, with clay. And then, of course, like any jewelry finding things, you can make frames out of them and mirrors, and those are great. Here's another. This one has beautiful little rhinestones or crystals or something in it. Glass, but sheeny. Pretty. And then, of course, Temu has these sets of old keys. Antique looking keys. They come in silver or in bronze. So you got to have the keys. You definitely want the keys. Keys to the castle. Okay, let's see what's in here. Stuff to the front. Looks like it might be newer stuff. Oh, I bought this whole... Let me see where I put this. Oh, let me show you this. I bought this the other day. And this was, half off at the time. The jewelry shop, Hobby Lobby. And there are 3 sizes. And I was like, that's a good deal. And it's quite a few of them. So I only paid $1.50. And I got all these sizes. So you could have bracelets to using them for, I don't know what. I don't know what I'll use them for yet. But cool. A good deal. And Temu, as well as the craft stores, have these things. These are, you know, those acrylic beads that you just get a bag full of different kinds of acrylic beads, and you can paint them to look like all kinds of things. And I know I saw colored ones and all different kinds on Temu at one point, and most of this came from Hobby Lobby years ago. We did a Southwest project, so we painted them Southwest colors. Okay, so this is out of this. I got this off of Temu, and there's this case. Unless you have a project, there's so many in here. I gave them away. I gave them to 3 people, I think. They're all different. There's like 5 or 6 different designs, maybe more, and they just, I haven't figured out what to use them all for. I mean, other than doilies, but you could do like a candle stand with this at the top. You know, you can cut into these. You can use pieces of them for decoration. But it's pretty cool if you kind of look at all the designs and figure out what you're going to use them for, because they run the gamut of being really large to being manageably large. Okay, so you might recognize these from my early videos of making lights, making the old oil lights. But I was looking in there, and these can be adapted to make candles. So I love the bronze, and bronze is harder to find, so look on eBay for bronze. I didn't have much luck on Temu, but this piece right here comes off it's on Temu as well as eBay, and so the big bead caps are on eBay, and so these would be good to put candles into to make candlelight. And then this little black one, this looks like a Tootsie Roll, you know, the stem. And this is like little tiny spacer beads into a real small, well, it's got glue. It's got the putty on it. Let me pull that off. It's got the very small bead cap at the end. And this is like a little flat piece of metal and a little small spacer, but very cute, and then painted black. Looks like I know they gave these away at something function, so they may have like sprayed them, you know, had them all set out and finished and sprayed them before they put the candle in them. So let's see what else we have. Ooh, this is neat. Look how pretty. Wow, it's wood. Oh, well, this is brass. Okay. I saw some boxes like this. They had incense in them. They were longer. I don't know if they had the small one. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this, but it works great for a miniature. It's like a brass, the pins going through brass into the wood. So that's pretty. Put some jewels in that, or, you know, king's treasures or some scrolls or something. Okay, these came, I had a bunch of these that came from Hobby Lobby, but I think you could probably still find them on Temu or eBay. And it's like an acrylic tube and has these bead caps at the end, and you can cut down the tubing and make it different size. And I don't know what other than it's just in jewelry findings. But I used them on my Southwest project for outside lights. So, you know, you could light it up with some fairy light. So this, you can't go wrong with these. They could be, you know, on the side as with sconce light. Or you could use it, you know, make an uplight. Okay, so let's see what's in this bag. Looks like got a lot of bags full. Okay, so we've got some, don't know, arrows. Oh, I know. There was guess that was for this. There's a big arrow and the arrow holder. I don't know what that's called, but that must have been what they put together. And I guess these are necklaces, or certainly wouldn't be a charm. It's kind of big. Maybe these would be. But anyway, it's in that fairy tale group. And like I said, they rotate just new stuff into it all the time. Here's another prayer box. Got a little latch on it. Lots of old world looking fleur-de-lis. Really cute. That's Darice, D-A-R-I-C-E, if you're looking for this. Okay, there's a wonky looking axe. That's cool. They've always got axes. It's got a lot of detail. So that's great. And a sword, like Arabian Nights kind of big sword. And a littler version with a skull and crossbones. That'd be good, like on a box or something. And that's Bead Landing, which is Michael's. Okay, I bought these to be like shields to put up on the wall. Put this on top of a shield that I make. This brand is Jewelry Essentials Horizon. You know, this may have been so long ago. This may have been Hancock Fabrics. Okay, another one of the fairy tale axes. Very cool. They always have an axe and knives and that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's a shield that they had in their line. Don't know what they have now. You'll have to check. But you can certainly go online and see what they have. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, I got this more recently, and what I liked about this, I got this off of eBay, and they had the shorter version, and then they had the buy two, for a little bit of a discount. So they had the shorter, or not as wide, and you got that one, and you got this one, so you could get any combination. So if you get one of these, really look at the, you want to click in, when you're buying on eBay, you first put your search, and then you go up to the right-hand corner, up at the top, up above the pictures and stuff that come up, the listings, and look for where it says, it'll say best match. Well, if you click into that, then you can go to the lowest price. And so I always click into the lowest price because it's multiples. And so this is really cool because it's like for European looking, Italian looking, for American looking, for old world looking. It goes with everything. And so I think this is like a really good buy. And here's the little knobs. And the drawers work. And you get these wonderful spindles down at the bottom. So you can put, foods. I think Whitley Labrie used the smaller version. And she did like a cheese and sausagey kind of design with baskets. So you could just use it in all kinds of settings. So it's a good one. And I wasn't sure what I was doing here, so that's why I thought I needed that. Let's see what the little things have. Okay, so here's a button. This button has the zodiac on it. How neat. The zodiac. It's really tiny. I don't know I'm not going to pull everything out of the plastic, but we made these in a group, and this is a piece of bark, punched out flowers, and I think these are, what's it called? It's something that starts with a B. They grow, in the open air. Like I was thinking I'd, put this on the side or something, and maybe these are orchids. I'm not sure what they're called. But very cool. Very unusual. This looks like a keychain. A Christian keychain. But again, looks like a shield. So be on the lookout at your thrift stores for all kinds of cool things. Oh, here's one that I got at the lady gave me a bunch of old costume jewelry Either that or it came out of my mom's, but really interesting shapes. Look at the shapes in this. Haven't figured out just the right thing to make with it, but I don't know if you can see that really well. But, ooh, that's so loud. I bet that's loud. Crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. But, yeah. Looks like it ought to make something cool. Light. Or sconce. Since I have two, maybe a sconce. So, oh, this is a jewelry finding, and it looks like torches. So you can see I think they have these on Temu, that definitely look like torches. So you could set these at an angle and light them up. And that's another thing with this foam. You could make trenches in the foam and come out with fairy light or, you know, different lighting. So, because this foam it's dense, but not that you couldn't carve in trenches before you cover it up with your siding. Okay, so let's see, there's more of these. I had, the different castles were going to be different themes. One was going to be wizardy, and this was supposed to be a museum. But I don't know what it's going to turn out to be now. But so anyway, I bought all these things to be like, here's the king's, or maybe that's the princess, her crown. And these were some more crown. This was supposed to be booty, kind of, you know, put into a trunk. And here's the king's. Oh, here's a little adorable. This is Island Crafts and Miniatures, and that's a little bitty I don't know, sticker. What do you call them? Not a sword, a dagger. There it is. Got it. The word came. Okay, so there's a little one. It has a pearl in it. Kind of small. That'll be the prince, the young prince. Here. Okay, so here's a small version of loot. Jewels, like maybe the queen's jewels. Here's another crown, and we've got, these are very popular. They had versions of these on Temu in different colors, and so if you get it, I don't know, they had them where you could see right through it. So if you want to put some flock paper or something, this has got flock paper. But cool. And then, you know, you got your crown. And then this big crown. This is bead landing, so this is from Michael's. But the big crown. Gotta have a crown for your castle. Wouldn't be a castle without a crown. So that was for the museum. The idea for a museum was all the crowns. But you can certainly, you know, do pirates. You could do pirates, and they come and they stay in here, and they have all their booty that they've you know, stolen, hidden away. You can have buried treasures. Okay, this is something I made a long time ago. This was Barbie scale. This was really a fun project. I was in a Barbie group, and we took shoe boxes, like big tennis shoe boxes, and we made floats. And so we decided, I don't know what was going on at the time, but we tried to do things along with, like, the Kentucky Derby. I remember we did something for that, and we did something for the Oscars or something. So anyway, we did this for some reason. But I want to tell you how it's made, because it turned out really cool. I had my Merlin and Morgan Le Fay Barbies that I made an arch, and they were like under the arch composing this like, so I made this goblet out of jewelry findings. It's a bead cones. That's a cone. That's a sort of a cone cap. And this is one of those acrylic, and it was supposed to, oh, there's the sparkle stuff on it. So these sat like this, and then I made the made my arches actually out of the foam, out of this insulation foam. And then you can cover it over. And it looks old world. So these are a little bit bigger because they were Barbie scale. Toothpick, drippy down paint, and lots of jewelry findings. So this was an altar. This was sitting on underneath the arches was an altar. So it kind of looked like you were in the catacombs, I guess that's what they call it. That's what it was supposed to look like, catacombs design. Okay, so this, you take the wood turning, do your blue color to match the sparkle, and you just get a little piece of the filler, polyfill, and spray it with the adhesive spray, and then roll it around in the glitter, and peek it. And then this was the cocktail toothpick to the wand, but it turned out real good. And everybody was asking me how I made that, so that's why I thought I'd share it with you. If you want to make it look like it's, rising up. And you can never make enough of these jewelry candlesticks. Those are so much fun. Oh, I had more. Okay, so this was, I haven't seen this in so long. Well, now I know why. Okay, so apparently these were pieces of jewelry finding, and I apparently bought them to glue, and I glued them together to make a lantern. Oh, here's how it works. So one of the pieces came loose. So I don't know if these were supposed to hang off a charm, what they were exactly, but I turned 4 of them into top and bottom lantern. And you just probably could never, I don't know if you could find something like this. Those bracelets? So it hangs, like a lantern. So those bracelets that are kind of wide metal sections, if you've ever seen those cuff band kind of, they're elasticized on. If you ever see those at thrift store or have one, those might make something like this. To where you get the sides and then you just take soda can metal and make lanterns or sconces. So I know I have one of those, so I'm gonna have to find it and see what I can make. But I plan on doing an all metal tutorial at some point, which this is probably a whole lot of it that I was going to show you, but I'll make some other stuff. But I just wanted to share with you because we're not all into werewolves and vampires, but we love making castles. So that other stuff's too scary for me. So these are kind of cool. These are all bead findings. These are connectors. Whenever, if you're not as familiar with the word connector, this top round part. And then these are also cones. If you're not that familiar, these are usually found by putting in cone, jewelry cone. And then of course the bead spacers and caps. That's a cap. So that looks kind of like it would be in a church. And I think this was the other part of that. The cross to match. And the dish with the bread of heaven, the blood of Christ. Gosh, I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's more Catholic. I'm not Catholic. So, more Catholic doctrine. And so those are fun. And those jewelry findings, you can always use them to make candlesticks and these kind of things. It's just, you could just have endless hours of making that kind of thing. Okay, so I got this one recently, and I said this just lends itself to a fairy tale, and it came out of the fairy tale. But, Sleeping Beauty, Sleeping Something, it's just so meant to be a storyline. And you could do that with your castle room box. And this is not that big. Let me see if I... okay, this is 12 inches. So it's about 16 by maybe 14 tall. And then, whatever size you want your base. But not terribly big for, a lot you can do with it. Okay, so this is very, very old. I found these at like Big Lots or something. And this was like the first of the resin water that I'd ever seen. And they had like 4 or 5 different ones, so I bought them all. I don't know where they went to, but given some away. But it had like a cool little... I don't know if you've ever seen these. But, again, any of this kind of stuff, it'll be on eBay. If you know what to call it. A fountain. I didn't know I had any of these. So these are Limax. These are from their Halloween Village things. So you have to get over to Michael's. I know that Michael's carries them, but you could probably look them up. And then, of course, they're going to be, on eBay and online. And so I guess I bought these to put right here. Perfect. So I have to cut these end ones off to put them up there. And I like dragons. They look kind of dragony. So I'm going to have to head over there and see what they have for this year. Let's see. Oh, can you believe I got another bag? But I've been collecting for all these fairy tale, all this stuff for, gosh, ever since I made this box, like 15 years ago. Okay, so this is a mold, and I don't recall this piece, so it must have been a jewelry piece of somebody's that I borrowed, to press it into the mold. But it looks like, a bird with wings and would be cool. Okay, here is the piece that I made the lion's face. And I found it's in the bag with, so you can, it was in the bag pressed. So you can see that you don't want to leave these together because there's moisture in this putty, this mold putty. Apparently there's moisture that stays with it years later. This is very old. So I put a screw on there so I'd have something to hold. And I filled in the holes with paper clay so that I could mold it up. And so that's the mold that turned out to be the lion's face. So separate your molds from or maybe add paper around it or something to make sure it takes up the moisture. Anyway, I'll work on that later. So, let's see what else. My goodness, I have a lot of jewelry things. I hope I get to use them all between the two castles. Okay, more fairy tale. Very interesting pieces. And they always had this. This line was always, so you can see the papers changed in this line. Now, this one, this might be from, the Lord of the Rings, or it had the wizards. Here's an eyeglass. That's probably from the Explorer line of jewelry that they have it. So any of those, I did buy, there was this resale shop of toys, and so I used to go there and look for any broken miniature stuff. And so this is a cool mirror. Got a lot of detail. Really interesting detail. I used to go there, and they would have like the wizards, and I guess those were Lord of the Rings. So those are great too. So I got those pieces. I got these pieces out of that group. Very interesting looking. Would look great on the wall, up on the sides, with a shield in the middle. Yeah. So look into that. Okay, so again, I was going to make a museum out of this one, the King's Museum or the King's Reception Room. My plan was I'm going to get if I still go with that, the velvet rope to where you line up out here and there's a bench for people to sit while they wait. And this was supposed to be just the outside where you'd, enter and see the museum. And just real simple topiaries that I was going to doll up. Still don't know. There's so many choices to make with this. It's a hard choice to make. My other castle is more wizardy. And this is a Limax, I think. I think it is. But they always have like benches, and you could certainly make a bench easy enough. And here's some paper from doctor's office or something. It's got wonderful texture. It kind of looks like you could paint it to look like chainmail. I always ask when I go to the doctor's office or the nurses, I'll ask the nurses, do you have anything that, would work for miniatures? And they're very receptive, especially if I tell them I do videos. They here, unbelievable. And they'll just hand me a bag full of stuff, or they'll give me syringes. Always give me syringes. Oh, so here's some little mouses. They're little wood ones. They're a little large, but cute little. This is Joshua. But every castle is definitely gonna have that. Okay, these are things I made out of jewelry findings. This is like a fruit bowl. You can find this big bead cap on eBay because I bought it for making my lamps. And this one as well. Bought it recent. This one isn't glued together, but I guess I put it together to make sure I glued it up later. When these, I don't have as many of these, and they're more expensive because they're larger. So I guess I was trying to save it to make sure. But this is a really good bead for this kind of thing, for the bowl or for candlesticks. I did candlesticks in. Let's see if you can see this. And you call these coin or discs, so if you're looking for these in the jewelry findings. It's in my antique store. So there's another little version. And filigree, little candy bowl maybe. And little bitty, teeny tiny. Even shorter. I mean, I guess a king would want some fruit or something on his desk to munch on. Okay, so those are another thing that's so much fun to make. I just love using that. It's hard to pass up. Okay, now I did buy this, as you can tell. But funny is I bought. Okay, let's look at this. This is a cleaning rag that I got at Dollar Tree years ago. I don't know if they still carry it, but it looked like chainmail. Look at that. And I was like, I can't pass that up. And even that looks like royal velvety, kind of like if I separated them. Could use both sides. So this was a cleaning rag. So you might be able to still find something like this at any of the dollar type stores. So don't ever forget that section. Yeah, I want to steer you towards that section because there's always good stuff over there. Okay, so this is like a little goblet. Looks like this is already a formed candlestick. And, oh, this was a little book with a little charm book. It has a little key. So it's like a special little pouch book. And I guess these came as earrings. There's 2 of them. And I think I used the other one maybe in the magician's room. Bread box. It's in the bread box. Let's see what we have. Oh, we got 2 of these. Let's see. So this is another one of the fairy tale books, probably. Looks like it has a leather binding on it. And this one has leather with the twine all around it. That's an interesting thing to make. And then these, I guess, to go on the desk. I don't know. This was part of that. I guess it's plastic. It looks like it's maybe Lord of the Rings or something. But this I did buy. I like 15 so many years ago. I looked at carrying this line of miniatures. It was kind of the sizing of Best Pack, and I said, send me a piece so I can look at the quality. But then 9/11 happened and put me out of business. And because of the Wall Street scare and the anthrax scare, and there was just a scare going on all around, and we were on the downside of miniatures, and so I just didn't stay in it. I ended up not staying. This was made in Hong Kong. That's what it says. So it was a new line at the time, and it was more of our walnut color, light walnut. Well, then I saw this more recently, I mean real recent, off of eBay, and I was like, that would go with the chair. Because I didn't know what I was going to do for a table because it's so ornate. And so 15 years later, I find this table, but they didn't match. So I took the alcohol pen and I think I colored this one so they would match better. But look how ornate to find this. And I made a deal because I don't think a lot of people were going for this. So I was like, will you take this much? And they're like, yeah. So it's a really ornate trestle table, but you have to have the ornate chair to really. So that was where the king's room, throne room, or, whatever. It's where it came from, was that chair. And then the table came later. Okay, so, and then I love my little dragon. Isn't he cute? I have no idea where this came from. But he's adorable. He sleeps in front of the fireplace. And I even made a braided rug for him to sleep on, a braided rug. He's so cute. The way he's got his little tail over his head. What a cute little face. He's just a little resin thing. So I guess he's a garden resin. But, okay, so this was made out of the foam. And it's paper clay. So you cut your shape, and this is, just this strip up here. And then you glue the paper clay on there, and then you can work on this for a couple of weeks as long as you keep it moist and keep it in a bag. You don't want it to mold, so you don't want to wait too long. But I remember I was working on it and I had to stop. And so I went back to it, and it was still in the bag. It was still moist enough to keep working on it. So that's why I say the paper clay is wonderful for smaller things. It would get a little expensive to do both sides. And up here, you'd at least need 2 packs. But that's up to you. But so this was, it can go here on the side or all the way to the back. Because, they had it real big. And the other thing is you can carve out, because they had big fireplaces that you could almost step into. You can carve that out and put cardboard across the back. And that way you get that much more depth. Another ½ inch or more deep into it, that you don't take up your room space. So isn't that so cute, my little dragon guy? So that was that. And so we're down to, I've got more to show you though. Okay, so look at this mold. I got this off of Temu, and it looked obnoxious when I first got it. I was like, what is all this? Well, if you start cutting out pieces, you can use so much of this. It's the actual mold itself has got so many small details. It's a larger mold, but it's got really great detail. So this could look old world and be, like anywhere but the window. Can't be the window. So that's a really cool mold. As long as, and when I'm looking at molds when they're big, the thing to look at is the, I know this makes sense, but look, not that it's so big, but is the actual piece very detailed, small detail? Because that's what you're really wanting, is small detail, because you can always cut them up. Okay, believe it or not, we have a whole nother bag. I pulled it down in my lap. Okay, so this is another brand. This is actually brass. This ring, so that would be a good shield. Put it back in it. This has a button. This is a button with a lion's head in it. So like that together maybe. Okay, buttons. Buttons are great for shields. And you can mold them, or you can actually use the button itself. So this is that La Petite. They had a lot of good stuff. This was some kind of brooch or pendant, at probably Michael's or something. But it's got dragons. So pendant. So if you want to look at pendant on eBay. Bead Landing. I think that's Michael's brand. Distributed. It's all made in China, so they probably still make it. Eyeglasses or spy glasses. More buttons. These buttons have all kinds of royal looking. There's the lion's head. But this is real detailed. It's really small, but it's just royal looking design. But it's nice because it's silver and gold. And I don't know if you can see that. Again, this is the bigger version of the lion's head, which would make a good shield. And I think that's what I was going for. And I got way too many. I forgot, I already bought one. And so I bought another. Here's a good one. La Mode. These are really cheap, but make great shields. Okay. So now something you might not, let me bag these back up. All buttons and pendant. Okay, have you ever used a doorknob to make a design? If you're old to miniature, well, you can believe it, I have another bag. Oh my gosh. But that is the last one. Okay, well, don't know what this is. What is this? Oh, these are just those little jewelry findings. I used to get these off of eBay. It was always fun to get, they were like 50 of them for $2 or $3 maybe. And so I would give them out to the miniature club. Just fun to buy something that, you get something in the mail for $3 that you can share. Okay, so the old Habitat that I used to go to had just scads of these drawer pulls. And so I got crazy one day going through them because they wouldn't have too many that would match up. But I did see that the newer one does have these too. But, by the time they've been picked through, there's, they get to where there's just one or two of each kind. And so they're great for making medallions for your lighting to come, or making shields, or just any number of things. You could probably make a stand that you put your candles on. If you make a mold, if you don't want to actually use the piece, but they might be cheaper just to use the piece. But anyway, So I bought a whole bunch of one-of-a-kinds. So this one's really large. That would be quite a large shield. This one's very decorative. But you can make your resin mold. Temu has the 2-part mold, and then you can use paper clay or resin in it. But all kinds of designs in these. And these were like 25 cents a piece or something at the time I bought them. They're not expensive when you're buying it through Habitat, especially when they get down to onesie twosies. Now see, that looks like a shield. And shields, were done to be the family, the lineage or something. I think we've seen that one. And this one. This is a French provincial. But these were great for your lighting and your ceiling in your dollhouse. And I'll show you some that, before I ever got the amazing mold putty, I was trying to come up with ways to use the polymer clay. And this is like a strip of polymer clay, and I think I pressed my bracelet into it. So this was to be like molding. I was looking to see, I'm always like playing with stuff. So I was looking to see if I could make molding, or you could put it on a bookcase or any number of things. But I just think it was my bracelet that I pressed into it. And this was just polymer clay, and then baked it. Just pulled the bracelet back out, and this was before the amazing mold putty. Is you could get results just using polymer clay. So these are just like medallions for lights that you put on your ceiling. Now this one came out looking kind of like a hat, like an Edwardian hat, or part of a cake or something. And these were polymer clay without the step of putting it into resin. I just, pressed it in and then shaped the outside of it. So, saves you the resin. And the other thing is you can take all your old clay, that you have left over because you're going to paint it, and just use your leftover polymer clay to make things like this. So kind of cool. And let's see. Gosh, I know this is getting to be a long video, but these are just bead pieces, and you can find all those kind of bead things on eBay if you don't find what you like on Temu. Okay, this was a button. It was just a silver button. And so I made the amazing mold putty of it. And this one was a little jewelry pendant, earring. It might have been an earring, and it makes a really cute tray or picture frame, either way. And I may have made the mold so that I could, share it. Okay, Tim Holtz, if you don't know Tim Holtz stuff, he changes out his line too. But I found these on eBay that are from earlier in the line when he first came out. So you can go to eBay and find these kind of things. And these are really cute to put like the Dungeons and Dragon pieces or any of those those pewter pieces you paint. I used jewelry pieces in this one and did a mermaid. But it looks like you could make it look like they've shrunken something or captured a troll or something inside the glass. And here's a Tim Holtz that you definitely can use for the steampunk, either for the books or the oriaries, because you need the base. So I bought it to, look at this design. Isn't that awesome? So it's round, and then it goes this way, and then it's round again and round up here, and has the cogs, and cute, just really amazing. So anyway, they had that. And then you can take apart a watch if you have, inexpensive watch, and there's pieces in those. But I also found it in the jewelry section. There was some of the steampunk things. This was an Explorer's, and so that would be good for telescope. I don't know if they still have this one, but you might have it. But there's, all kinds of these cogs, and they were chained. They had them like linked together at one point. Yeah, here's one. This was the Explorer line at Hobby Lobby. And of course, Hobby Lobby's online if you want to, buy and pay the shipping. Okay, this is another bead landing. This was, I guess, Michael's. If bead landings might have been Joann's too, if it's not Michael's. But these are cool. Again, you can put things, in them to look like they shrunk them or they've captured them. Or you could put, unusual oddities inside of them. And those are great. So, believe it or not, I think that's everything. Except one thing important. The last thing is, if you've ever seen this disposable grill topper, this makes Tudor style windows. It's just wonderful. Let me turn it around so you can get it back. They're to, like, when your grill gets all rusty. This is to set on your grill, but I got this at Dollar General, and I saw them in the spring. So it's aluminum, and they're just wonderful. And years ago, I made a window for the other castle. So let me show you. So you take it and you put it against plastic, your trash plastic, and tap it down to make sure it's good and flat. And then you can go in with either your gallery glass, which you purchase, or you can just tint your diamond glaze with your pigment or whatever you have to tint any of your dry clear products. Might even be glue if you have they have those clear glues now. They just have so much more than when I used to do stuff and try to come up with things. So anyway, you can make these wonderful Tudor style or stained glass windows real easily. And you can also spray paint the to make it more old world. I spray painted this one with a hammered metal or something like that, and so it took it down from the bright silver. And then I went ahead and stained it, and it did okay. It stayed on, and this is years and years old, so it hasn't rusted or changed. Looks the same. So the last thing is, I tried a crackle medium, and I just wanted to tell you the results really quick. This was that one step that came from DecoArt. Got it at Hobby Lobby. It's fine crackle, and maybe I missed that because the first time it didn't work on old paint, and I was looking for it to be a big crackle. I wanted, like farmhouse crackle. But it's a very fine, it's so fine, and it's shiny. I don't like the shininess, but if you're making like porcelain or something, then maybe shiny's good. But it really looks like dry skin. It's so fine, it's just the size of dry skin. So if that's what you're looking for, to give a crazed look to some pottery or something, then this is going to work for you. But it's not the big farmhouse size that I was looking for. So I'm still going to have to hunt for that, because that was originally a DecoArt. So maybe another location will have the bigger and not be the one step, because this is one step and the other was two step. So if you've held out this long, good for you. And I hope that this has inspired you. That's what I meant to do, not to just show and tell, but to really inspire for Halloween. If you're not into the real scary horror, I'm not. So that's okay. Castles are great, and you can do so many things with them. So please subscribe if you haven't. join my channel. And I'd love to have you and love to hear your comments. And it just makes my heart sing to hear from people and talk to people. So thanks for stopping by and holding out for this long. Appreciate you. Bye.